Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Welcome to a new session of your social science children. We've been already seeing about a history lesson. We've completed a geography lesson. Now we are going to see a new lesson in geography. Okay? It is about the atmosphere. Okay? So we will see first what is atmosphere. So atmosphere is a thin layer of air. Okay, so it is a thin layer of air that covers the earth. So this is just a layer which covers the earth completely. Okay, and it is held to the surface of the earth by the gravitational force of the planet. So it is just around the earth, and it is there because it is strongly held by the gravitational force of the earth. So if there is no gravitational force on the earth, as we all know, we even cannot stand, right? The same way atmosphere can also not be exactly around the earth. So gravitational force holds the atmosphere just around the earth. Okay, so that is a thin layer of air. So this is atmosphere. So above the surface of the earth, okay, just around the surface of the earth is atmosphere. Okay, so we will see what is the importance of atmosphere, what is the role of atmosphere. Now why is that atmosphere important for us? We are going to see about that. So it plays a very important role in sustaining life on earth. So without atmosphere, without the layer of this air, human beings or plants or animals cannot live on the earth. So this is a very important thing to sustain in earth. Okay, then it contains essential gases which are required to sustain life, such as oxygen, carbon dioxide and nitrogen. So this atmosphere consists of various gases which is very important for living things to live on the earth. Yes, as we all know, earth is the only planet where living things are there. So for these living things to live, for these living things to sustain, some gases are very important. So they are oxygen, carbon dioxide and nitrogen. So all these are there in atmosphere. Atmosphere is a mixture of all these gases. Then it is a layer that protects us from the harmful ultraviolet rays of the sun. So as we have seen that atmosphere is just a layer above the earth, right? So it protects us from the ultraviolet rays of the sun. So what are these rays? These are the rays which are invisible to our naked eyes. Okay, invisible rays from the sun. So these are very harmful rays. Continuously seeing or getting in touch with this ultraviolet rays will create, okay, will create vision loss. We may lose our vision. Then we may end up with skin cancer also. So ultraviolet rays are very harmful for us. So this atmosphere layer covers the earth such that this ultraviolet rays does not reach us. Okay, then it helps us to maintain ideal temperature required to sustain life on the earth. So this atmosphere covers the earth. It gives us air which we require so that the temperature is balanced on the earth. So if there is not going to be any such layer like atmosphere, then what will happen? The earth will be very hot in the daytime and it will be extremely cold during the night times. Okay, so that is how atmosphere is protecting us by maintaining an ideal temperature, which is good for us. Okay, then so that is what I told you now. Without the layer of atmosphere, the earth would have been scorching hot. What is meant by scorching hot? It means extremely hot. Okay, it is extremely hot or very hot. Okay, so during the daytime, and the night would have been freezing cold. cold. So, if atmosphere is not there, this is what is going to happen. So, atmosphere is saving us from this scorching hot and the freezing cold. Okay? And the weather phenomena, rain, wind, storm, clouds, rainbows, all occur in the atmosphere. So, the change in weather conditions, it might be a cloud, it might be a rain, it might be a storm, wind, rainbow, whatever it is, it occurs in this layer, in the layer of atmosphere. Alright. So, that is the importance of atmosphere for the earth. Okay, so that is how it helps us to live on the earth. So now we will see what is this atmosphere comprised of, what are all there in this atmosphere, we will see that. So first it is nitrogen. Nitrogen occupies majority portion of the atmosphere, which is 78%. Then comes oxygen, which is 21%, and here carbon dioxide is 0.04% and other gases which are 0.96%. So altogether 100% of the atmosphere is made up of 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, 0.04% carbon dioxide and 0.96% other gases. So we will see about these gases in detail now. Okay. So it is a mixture of various gases, that is what we have seen. Then nitrogen and oxygen forms the greater part of the atmosphere. So the majority portion, almost 99% of the atmosphere is made up of nitrogen and oxygen together. Of that, 78% is nitrogen. Okay. So what are all the other gases? We have seen that other gases occupy 0.96%, right? That is overall 1% other gases. Of that 0.04% it is carbon dioxide. Okay. So the balance 0.96% it is made up of helium, ozone, argon, hydrogen. So all these gases makes the layer of atmosphere. Clear? Then it also contains aerosols, water vapor and other dust particles. So all these together forms the layer of atmosphere. So now we will see about nitrogen first. So it comprises almost 78% of atmosphere. So nitrogen occupies 78% of atmosphere. Then what about it? It is an essential gas for plants' survival. So nitrogen is very much essential for the plants or trees to survive on the earth. So how does these plants absorb this nitrogen? Can a plant directly absorb a nitrogen? No, it cannot absorb nitrogen directly. So what does a plant do? The nitrogen which is in the air is being absorbed by the bacteria which is under the soil. Okay. So bacteria are there on the root parts of the plant. So these bacteria absorb the nitrogen from the air, and what happens? It generates the energy, it changes it into the energy which is required by the plants, okay, during the process of photosynthesis. So that is how plants get the required energy. Okay, so here you can see, as plants cannot absorb the nitrogen directly from the air, the atmospheric nitrogen is absorbed by the bacteria living in the soil, and then what happens? This gets converted into the required compounds, okay, that can be easily absorbed by the plants from the soil. It can be easily absorbed when the nitrogen is converted to the required compounds, or the compounds which can be easily absorbed by the plants. Okay, so the plants absorb it easily. So that is the first most importance of nitrogen. So now oxygen. What is oxygen? The air we breathe in, right? We need oxygen. Without oxygen, can we live? No, impossible, right? So this oxygen constitutes of 21% of atmosphere. So nitrogen was 78, oxygen 21%. So these humans plants, animals and many other organisms need oxygen to live. So, as we all know, without oxygen, living things cannot survive on the earth. So, every living thing needs oxygen to live. And what is the work of the oxygen? It helps to break down the food for energy, and animals and plants breathe in oxygen to survive, right? We human beings and animals, we inhale oxygen, and what do we exhale? We exhale carbon dioxide. And what about the plants? Plants inhale the carbon dioxide and they give us oxygen, okay? So, the oxygen level is balanced in the air which takes carbon by the plants. Oxygen is just kept on a balanced level because of the plants. Why? Because plants intake the carbon dioxide which we breathe out and it gives us back the oxygen which we breathe in. So, that is how the oxygen and carbon dioxide is balanced, okay. So, that is why we are always telling on don't cut the trees, don't cut the plants, let us grow more trees. Why are we growing trees? Because we will have sufficient oxygen only by then, okay. So, that is the importance of oxygen. So, now we will see about carbon dioxide. So, it makes up about just 0.04% of atmosphere. It is one of the most important gases. Why is it important? Because plants and trees need carbon dioxide to breathe in, okay. So, it is one of the main thing needed by the plants during photosynthesis. So, without photosynthesis or without breathing in, plants cannot give us oxygen. So, carbon dioxide is again an important gas. So, as I said just now, cutting down the trees, burning of fossil fuels leads to increase of carbon dioxide level in air. So, we are cutting down more trees, we are burning papers and all the rubbish things together. So, because of this what happens? The carbon dioxide level increases in the air, okay. So, what is the effect of that? Rise of carbon dioxide leads to the greenhouse effect and global warming. So, we are just going to see about what is this greenhouse effect and what is global warming now. So, all this happens just because of the increase in carbon dioxide in the air. So, first we will see, so this is a greenhouse, okay. So, it is a place fully covered with glass, okay, such that the sun's rays fall inside the place and it gets trapped, which means the rays which falls through the glass, okay, it gets settled in that place and with that sunlight the plants are grown. That is called as greenhouse, okay. We need not keep it in a open place always, we just can cover the place with the glass and the sun's rays which falls through this glass takes care of the plant's growth, okay. So, that is called as greenhouse. So, now we will see what is this greenhouse effect on earth. We have seen about just plants. So, what does this greenhouse to do with earth? We are just going to see that now. So, see, from sun the rays comes to the earth, okay. So, what happens? Some of the rays it will automatically get reflected by the earth and it will go back to the space itself. Some solar radiation is reflected by the earth and the atmosphere. So, when it gets reflected, it will just go back to the space itself, okay. So, see, this is the sun's rays passing to the earth. So, solar radiation passes through the clear atmosphere, okay. So, most radiation is absorbed by the earth's surface and warms it. So, majority of the radiation is absorbed by the earth, but how does it absorb? Just because of the carbon dioxide present on the earth. We are going to see about that again. So, I am just explaining you with this diagram. So, the sun's rays reaches the earth, that heat is being absorbed by this carbon dioxide, okay. Just because of this atmosphere layer, we are able to absorb that heat and that keeps the earth warm, and some more rays, what happens? It reflects and goes back to space, okay. So, some solar radiation is reflected by the earth and the atmosphere, okay. Then what happens? Some of the infrared radiation passes through the atmosphere and some is absorbed and re-emitted in all directions by greenhouse gas molecules. Okay, the effect of this is to warm the Earth's surface and lower the atmosphere. So this is what happens. Okay, so the sun's rays, some of the rays reaches the earth and it is being absorbed, some of the rays just reflects back and goes back to space. So now we will see about that. So a greenhouse is a building that is made of glass that traps heat. Okay, traps means it catches the heat. Okay, catches heat inside in order to provide warm environment for the plants to grow. Okay, so with that warmth the plants will grow. It need not be exposed in a direct sun. Okay, so the Earth's atmosphere acts as a greenhouse. So for some plants we are building a greenhouse with glass, but for the entire Earth the atmosphere is the greenhouse. Is that clear? So now what happens? Energy from the sun reaches the earth as solar radiation. So the energy from the sun reaches the earth. Then what happens? Some solar radiation is reflected back to space by the earth, while most of it is absorbed by the earth's surface. So most of the radiation is being absorbed by the earth, and some of the radiations automatically it bounces back to the space. It reflects back to the space. Okay. So the absorbed energy by the earth, okay, is radiated back into the atmosphere as infrared radiation. So the absorbed energy again it reflects back to the atmosphere, okay, by infrared radiation. So the greenhouse gases which absorb this heat from the sun are carbon dioxide and methane. So these two gases helps as greenhouse gases by absorbing the heat from the sun to the atmosphere. Okay. So what happens to this greenhouse gases? It is present in the atmosphere and traps a part of this energy and prevent it from reflecting back to the space. Okay. So just not all the energy should go back. Then what will happen? We will not receive any heat and we will be in a freezing cold as we have seen earlier. So these two gases, carbon dioxide and methane, helps us in absorbing this energy and prevent it from escaping back to the space. So what are the greenhouse gases? Carbon dioxide and methane. Okay, so these absorbs the energy from the sun. So by doing so, the gas keeps the earth's surface warm to sustain life on the earth. Without that warmth, we cannot live on the earth. So by these two gases helps us in retaining the warmth on the earth's surface. So recently what has happened? Due to various reasons like cutting of the trees, okay, fossil fuels burning, deforestation. What is meant by deforestation? A forest which are being destroyed, right? And livestock farming, which means the animals which we grow more, okay. So they eat all the plants and the things. So all these have what happened because of that? The greenhouse gases in the atmosphere is increasing. Okay, so the greens are not available, the forest is not there, trees are being cut down. So what happens because of that? The greenhouse gases, which are carbon dioxide and methane, gets increased in the atmosphere. So what will happen? Obviously, it will absorb more heat from the sun, even more heat from the sun. So because of that, the entire earth will start increasing its temperature. Okay, so this has caused atmosphere to trap more heat from the sun. Okay, so because of that, what happened? That has increased the average global temperature. So on the entire earth's surface, the temperature has increased. So this phenomenon is known as global warming. So from the greenhouse, how it had changed to global warming? See, so just because we are cutting down the trees, we are burning more fossil fuels, we are engaged in deforestation, what is happening? We are increasing the greenhouse gases quantity in the atmosphere. So that results in global warming. So that is about global warming. So now we will see what happens because of that. global warming has had many adverse effects. So, global warming is no way good for the human beings on the earth, right? So, it results in climate change, melting of ice caps and glaciers, and rising sea levels and disruption of many ecosystems. So, because of this global warming, because of the increase in average global temperature, what happens? We always end up with adverse effects like change in climate in an abnormal way, or melting of these ice caps and glaciers, and rising of sea levels and disruption of ecosystems. So, all these are the effects of global warming. So, the assignment part for you children, what is atmosphere and what are the gases present in the atmosphere? Question number 2, what is greenhouse? And question number 3, what is global warming? So, with this we have come to the first part of the lesson, the atmosphere. We will continue in the next session children. Thank you. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.